Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to Dynamics 365 session. I think it's the first one for the Ignite this year, or for the Ignite at all. What difference a couple years make? About 4 years ago, I tried to submit a session for the Dynamics CRM at the time. I don't even remember, was it TechEd or Ignite? I couldn't find the track for it. I could find Zune track, so there was a separate track for Zune, but there was nothing for Dynamics CRM. And roll a few years forward, and now Dynamics 365 is part of the cloud family, so they all report to Scott. So, and the pace of change, that's what we're going to. So we talked just a bit about Dynamics 365, what's changed, what's kind of new. Then Azure, I'm not going to talk about Azure a lot because that's the rest of the conference. That's what the rest of the conference does. So you know this stuff. So I'm just going to quickly explain where we integrate with Azure from Dynamics 365 and just tell you dev story. Just show some demos. Okay, Dynamics 365. Hands up who doesn't know what it is. Hands up who never developed for one. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So I'll keep it simple. The Dynamics 365 part of the story, I'll keep it reasonably simple. So Dynamics 365. Even last year, there was CRM, there was ERP or AX. Then they converged. Now it's all becoming a big Dynamics 365 family, covering everything. So covering sales, field service, support, customer service, project automation, finances, customer-facing portals, and so on. So it's lots and lots of apps, what we now call them. It's built for what you need, highly productive, so it delivers business value. So if you're looking as a developer for value, it's closer to the business. That's why business chooses 365. That's why they go for it, because it delivers out of the box. Intelligent, I'll talk briefly about it, where it integrates with Cortana Intelligence and Power BI. And it's adaptable. This is the part what we're going to talk about today. So ready for growth. So it's extendable. For you guys as developers, it's very important that Dynamics 365, in particular Dynamics CRM, has a very nice and clean extensibility model. So we now have Web API, which is OData version 4. We support OAuth. It's quite straightforward and easy to develop, and it's clear integration and extensibility points. That's what integration points are. So there is a Web API, there's event publishing directly from Dynamics 365, entity change tracking. So you can ask Dynamics 365, well, what's changed since last time I talked to you? So it makes integration scenarios very, very easy. So you don't have to query your 5 million accounts. You just say, tell me what's changed. Plugins and workflows. When we come to that, I'll explain a bit for those of you who don't know the extensibility model of the plugins and the workflows. I'll just explain when we come to that point. All the forms, they have iframe support. They've got web resources support, scripting. Now there is reasonably new, well, since 2015, custom actions, so you can extend Dynamics CRM by adding your own API effectively. And there is a data export facility, a new feature, I think it's in preview, export to SQL Azure. This is the parts that integration points we're going to talk about today. We are not probably going to cover the other points unless someone asks. Azure. Who's here doesn't know anything about Azure? Okay, so I assume you guys okay, so you know what what Azure is. This slide, it's one of those slides we can't keep up. We do training for Dynamics 365 and say, this is Azure, this is great. We do another training months later, slide has changed. The figures went up. So we just gave up. We just give slide at some point in time. So this is kind of as new as it gets. Okay, Azure got lots of things. That's another slide, keeps changing. I just got notification from Azure, like you receive email, newsletter, something new every month, every single day. Something went out of preview, something went into preview. Just this morning, I started updating my parts and functions in Azure Functions. I said, hey, look, you've got version 0.2. Let us upgrade to 1. I assume that's out of preview. To me, 1 means it's out of preview, right? Or whatever that means. So there's lots and lots of services. I'm just going to talk about them as we come across. So Dynamics 365 and Azure. Well, to start with, Dynamics 365 lives in Azure, right? So the story was that Dynamics 365 or Dynamics CRM at point in time, there were separate data centers. I don't know, we are not told the entire story for different reasons, like where exactly Dynamics 365 lives, but definitely there's been, over the years, the push. I believe that most of the deployments, they live directly in Azure. So I can't confirm or deny, but that's my take on it. So they live in Azure. So we've got lots and lots of apps. We've got extensibility. The nice things about Dynamics 365 is you get very easy to use management portals, so management features, and portals, which is, I'm going to talk about tomorrow. The customer-facing portals come with Dynamics 365 with any app, so you can install, develop, and so forth. This is not the subject of today, but we'll talk about tomorrow. And there are services like Relationship Insights. Obviously, can be consumed in Power BI. Now, Cortana Intelligence, we can send data. There's lots of machine learning features has been built in, starting with organizational insights and so forth. Azure IoT, now we have connected field service, so you can actually feed data from IoT devices. You can control IoT devices directly from Dynamics 365, and it feeds the data and sets alerts directly in Dynamics 365. So Office 365, we integrate with it very, very closely, like server-to-server email sync and so forth. Supports Office groups. SharePoint is used for document management, and so on and so forth. So we also have an extensibility platform. We're not going to talk about Power Apps or Flow or Power BI Embed, but they're there for those people who want to consume, right? So it's easy to consume. Dynamics 365 now is a data source, is a destination and source for all of those. Well, and App Source. Who knows about App Source? Only 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hands. Well, if you're planning to use Dynamics 365, go and read about it. It's a pinpoint redefined. As horrible as pinpoint was, as good as App Source is, right? So this is ability for you guys as vendors, as ISVs, to actually develop application, extend, and basically pitch and sell. Okay, so building blocks. Identity and federation. Dynamics 365 lives on Azure Active Directory. So there is Dynamics 365 on premises. It lives on Active Directory. So it's kind of very symmetrical. But we're going to talk about Dynamics 365 online version for the purpose of today's exercise. But everything that I say equally applies to Dynamics 365 on premises deployments. I can't think off the top of my head anything that I'm going to say that doesn't apply to on-premises. I will flag if something comes up. Solutions building blocks. So when you build in Dynamics 365 solution, you need building blocks. Say you want an iframe, some cool page where you deploy some small report using JavaScript. Possible. So where would you host it? In Azure. So that's close, that's nearby, it's fast, it's easy to deploy. So things like that. Then solution building blocks, you can offload blob storage to Azure blobs. So CRM can store inside, attachments inside, but that is expensive. CRM storage is expensive. So you can offload your blob storage, like notes attachment, email attachment, things like that. SharePoint, server to server, it talks server to server at the back end, so you don't need to configure anything. So within the same tenant, it just surfaces up as documents. You can surface up documents. You can integrate one note, so attach one note to your sales proposals and things like that. Integration building blocks, that's where we start talking how we can use Azure to extend our CRM, so extend Dynamics 365. And then, last but not least, there is a virtually codeless ability to publish events from Dynamics 365 into Server's Bus. This kind of opens up, it's a very simple scenario, but every time I talk about it, I'm surprised how few people know about it, how easy it is, and what opportunities it opens up. Okay, starting your development. So if you're serious about Dynamics 365 development, didn't just raise your hand up, so just you can be here. You need Dynamics 365 subscription. You can get a month from trial. You can spin off those trials until cows come home. You can extend trial if you really want to for up to 90 days. But basically, yeah, spin off. Azure subscription, 1 month trial, again, gives you like $260 worth of goodies every month. Be careful, like I think one of my emails got flagged, so I can no longer provision free trials in Azure. They said, nope, we've done too many. What do you want? And I raised support request and said, nope. And I said, why? We can't tell you. That's it. So, well, if you need to do something, it's really cheap. So, like, okay, if I have to do a demo, it cost me, like last time I did the demo, it cost me, I calculated, and I spun off really big machines, cost me like $1.20 for the 2 hours class. So, yeah, okay, I spin off the subscription if need to be. Then you need Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, whatever you fancy. It would be easier with Visual Studio because we have Dev Toolkit and SDK templates to come inside Visual Studio. You will need SDK, so you will need Dynamics 365 SDK, you will need Azure SDK. These days, it's kind of SDK, it's more about documentation and a bit of tools than anything else, right? Because it's online service, it's a web API, so nothing to talk about, just connect and, you know, there are no libraries. All libraries are now delivered via NuGet, so there is really nothing in SDK when you install it apart from the tools, right? If you fancy, you can develop Node.js, Python, PHP, all can talk to, there are a few open source libraries that can allow you to talk to Dynamics 365. And tool, someone named this tool, it's a Swiss Army chainsaw. XRM Toolbox. If you want to develop, if you're serious about development, or even if you're like business administrator, high level, very proficient business administrator, that's your best friend. Really download, it's got like 40 extensions or something like this. So it's like 40 tools in one. Azure regions, why it's important? When you integrate Dynamics and Azure, what you really want, you want them to be as close. Your code that lives in Azure or your functionality, Azure functionality, or your Azure website or web app, you want it to be in the same region as your Dynamics 365. So if it's in Canada, in Australia, we've got 2 centers. I have no idea, for example, when I provision Dynamics 365, no idea which data center. So again, I asked, I said, no, We're not going to tell you. So plenty of centers to choose from. The nearest one is good, right? And the other reason why you don't really want to pick between, say, Australia East and Southeast is because of redundancy. You want them equally work well. Right? So when you start, just tip, I found it's easy if you're trying things out about Azure development, keep everything in resource groups. So create resource group, pile up your stuff in there. When you're done, you just kill resource group and it's all gone. Right? So partition your development, particularly if you're trying something out. Okay, building blocks. As we go left to right, we focus on applications. We rely less and less on our ability to manage, hardware, virtual machines, or physical machines, operating system. That's where we want to be. That's what we're going to talk about, all the way to the right. And Azure App Services, that's the ones we can use. Today in Dynamics 365, we can use web apps. We can consume all that. We can consume web apps, mobile logic apps, API apps. So let's talk about the web apps. They can access Dynamics 365. What you want to use it for, customer-facing sites. Portals, it's one particular scenario, but you may want to have a very specific site that extracts data, accesses your Dynamics 365 data, and pushes it to the website. So your website would access it. Line of business applications, so internal applications, deliver it using, build the website with Angular and things like that, and deliver a nice alternative UI to your Dynamics 365 if you're not happy. Access on-premises resources. Who knows about hybrid connections? Right, okay, a few hands. So effectively, when you develop code on premises, and let's say you talk to SQL, and you hard-coded the SQL server as a foobar, you deploy the same code to Azure, and suddenly Azure has no idea what the foobar is, and your code fails, right? So what you can actually do is create a hybrid connection, which is initiated from the on-premises via 443, and then it creates a tunnel, so suddenly you breach the networks, and your foobar becomes visible to your code running in the web app, right? So a lot of services actually use that. For example, Power BI on premises. When you want to provide on premises, Power BI Gateway. It uses a very similar ability to connect to on-premises resources. I'm not going to talk about the features. Other people done a good job. It's scaling up and out, optimized for DevOps, multiple languages, integration with VS, SSL custom domains. There is no reason today not to have SSL, right? So that applies to every single website that you deploy, web app that you deploy. There are Let's Encrypt templates. It looks scary, the instructions. I was able to do like in 15 minutes. So in 15 minutes, you have auto-renewing a Let's Encrypt certificate automatically generated for your web app. Once you've done it, it's just there. Okay, what you can do, what resources you can do. Dynamics 365, as funny as it sounds, still doesn't have ability to schedule things. People found the workarounds, like workflow can wait for a predefined time. So you say, okay, I want to do something every hour, so I'll run what I need to do. I'll wait for an hour, and then I call myself. There are gotchas associated, like if you call yourself too many times within a short period of time, the nesting level is 9, so it will break. What do? People develop all sorts of weird solutions, external. Well, we've got Scheduler, right? So Scheduler is good. It's quite reliable. Frequency for free up to 1 hour. If you want to go down from 1 hour, pay a bit of money. It's cheap. I don't know. I'd run, I think, one scheduler on full, like on standard, and I don't remember. I think I'm charged per month like 20 cents or something like this. So, and web jobs. Web jobs, they can be triggered, scheduled, on demand. The one thing that got me is that continuous web jobs need always on. So make sure that your your app service has always on ticked. It's slider, so on. Otherwise, it will kill it after 20 minutes. 20 minutes or something like that. So it runs on a website compute capacity. So whatever, if you already have a web app, you've got the website, perfect, you can run it. It's got scheduler, we'll talk about it. It's got plenty of bindings and triggers, so you can trigger from all sort of stuff. And this slide was deliberately left blank. And this is how easy it is to write. Well, this one doesn't do much, right? So it copies text from input to output. But this is how you trigger on service bus queue. You just say input queue, whatever counts as a text, send it to output. This is all it is. It will just copy stuff from one queue to another, right? Okay, let's do something nice and wake up my machine. I hope it will survive, so I don't have to. Okay. So this is actually a real story to the extent. Customer of mine said, look, George, we have, we have a solution. And the solution that we have has lots and lots of currencies. So we have, like Australian dollar with the exchange rates, our primary currency US. So we've got the list of currencies, which is quite long. So all our quotes are out of whack. Why? Because it's not updating. I said it's not supposed to. That's by design. So, no one told me it's by design that it's not updating. I wanted to get updated. I said, let's call him Sean. I said, Sean, no problem. I'm the man. So I had the code which basically has this currency updating calls openexchangerates.org. It's got free. I'll show you what it does. That's what it returns. Just a list of currencies for free. You can do like 1,000 hits a month, delayed up to 1 hour. You want to pay for real-time service, it's fine. So I said, yeah, I'll use that. Okay, so I had some code from some previous jobs, basically extracting, deserializing, and putting into nice object, like collection of currency conversion rates. Okay, so now my task is, well, what do? I connect to Office 365. So I pass the connection string, connecting. Who love this $ with the functions, right? Yeah, I found putting $ even when I don't have parameters to substitute makes you feel good, like everything with $. Right, so it's like every single function every single string comes with a $. Everything you output comes with a $ in front of it. So it's like really makes you feel nice. So we connect, we use CRM Service Client. That comes with SDK, so it's all via NuGet. So connect via connection string. I'm ready. We create this one, organization service context. It's a wrapper around there is a magic service called iOrganization service, which performs like create, update, delete, and magical execute. Why it's magical? Because there are over 200 messages that you can execute on the back end. Organization service context, it's a wrapper. It gives you link. So link to CRM, and it also gives you caching and some other goodies. lots of other goodies. So I'm getting my currencies, extracting base currency of my organization, ISO code for the base currency. So my base currency is stored in org settings. I'm just using link here. I'm extracting it. Then I go through all the currencies, and I basically figure out what the rate is, and I update. And you see it's batches updates as well, so update object, and then I save changes. So it batches up the updates, and then boom, it updates. So to make it kind of real, I'm saying, wouldn't it be nice, remember the day when it was 1, right? So wouldn't that be nice? Okay, so saying $1. So okay, let's run this code. Stop debugging. I did before the deployment, I did the release. I'll switch to debug and run it. So it's going to connect. The first connection is always could be a bit slow. So you want to cache it up, you want to libraries take care of that, but it's got a lot to deal with. It runs discovery service, it authenticates, it pulls down metadata, so a lot of stuff. So it's first connection. Once it's established, it's fine. Okay, boom, saving changes. So you see that was fast, done. Okay, go here, refresh, and reality catches up. So Australian dollar still 1.3. So I call Sean and say, done. So, brilliant. He calls me next day and say, it didn't update. I said, you didn't say you want to kind of regular updates? I said, yeah, that's what I want. I want update. I said, how often do you want them? He said, every 2 hours. I'm quickly calculating, okay, every 2 hours, that hits 12 a day, that's 600 plus some testing. So I'm going to blow this open exchange 1,000, exchange rate 1,000. So how about 4 hours? Yeah, okay, I can deal with 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours a day, so good. 6 day, 200 requests per month, we're good. So I'm saying, Sean, you got me here. This is really, really complicated. You realize now that I have to, create a service, schedule it, and do all this sort of stuff. That's going to be like 2 days. I said, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll pay you for 2 days. Okay, I said, Sean, great. Let me get back to you. In the meantime, yep, we publishing. You guys know what I'm doing, right? So just done, okay? Oh, forgot one thing, of course. Let's go, on demand. It's fine. I'm saying, ooh, want to have it schedule it. So he doesn't want on demand. He wants every 4 hours. Right. So 2 days later, I call him and say, it's done, Sean. It's all done. It's now running. It's actually, I did it in a day and a half. Right. So I built, I didn't publish. So the one thing is important. One thing is important here. When I change the scheduler, so when you create, no, it's actually was. It's publishing. Yeah, okay. Great. What it's doing under the hood, if you go to your Azure subscription, it will create. So let me go to all resources. And in fact, it did create a scheduler. Okay? So it created a scheduler job. If we go in, you'll see that scheduler job is just running every 4 hours. What it does, it hits an endpoint on the job, right? Just something, triggered jobs, job name, /run. It hits this endpoint and job runs. That's all it does. It hits the HTTPS endpoint. Right, but let's have a look at our web job. And whilst it's loading, now this is scheduler, but for those of you who know that web jobs run web apps, they come with this cool environment, Kudu, that's got its own scheduler, right? So the one thing I learned to do is how to use this scheduler. So let's take a look at the web jobs first. So web job, this is the beauty. Like, I didn't change a single thing. I removed read line, otherwise it just sits there forever, right? But other than that, it's ready to go, and I can run it, and it's running, okay? Now, what I want to do is to schedule this, but using the built-in scheduler. So I'll leave this one in, just for the sake of it. What you need to do is to have settings.job in your project. And you set it to copy. Okay, I want to include it in the project. And I want copy it if newer. Okay, this is cron expression, so that one would run on a 0 second every minute, right? So if I wanted every 4 hours, that would be every 4 hours. If I wanted every 4 hours Monday to Friday, that would be Monday to Friday every 4 hours. So it's very, very flexible. If you know how to use it, it's brilliant. I'm saying run it every minute, and I'm just going ahead and publish this again. It will be scheduled basically to run every minute. Whilst it's scheduling, let's take a look. Completed just now. This is the brilliant part. You go, you have a look. All your console stuff is there. All your console output is sitting there ready for you to consume. Whenever you're ready. Okay, this one is creating. Yeah, I didn't remove scheduler, so it's still creating scheduler. And that's, you know, I noticed that every time it creates a scheduler job when scheduler job already exists, it dies. So just for your information. Okay, so it ran 22 seconds ago. Loading. It's brilliant. It keeps updating. So here's your scheduler, like out of the box, boom, boom, really, right mouse click, publish as a web job, whatever you have as a console app, right? But it costs money, right? So what I did, I quickly created, let me see, where's my Visual Studio gone? I created a function. So without going into details, what it entails, I copied the code, created the function, and the code virtually unchanged. So I have the same code, except that now I have timer trigger, and I pull the connection string, and I call update currency. The rest is the same. The only thing that I need to juggle now is dependencies. But dependencies are pulled by functions automatically via NuGet. So if you go to your package file in your project, console project, and you take a look at what assemblies it pulled in, you copy them here, you're done. It will pull in these assemblies. As you can see, there are two on top. They are Dynamics Dynamics 365 assemblies. You don't have to change the code, right? And the nice thing, of course, about the function, so I did publish this as a function. So if we take a look at all resources, so here's my function published. Does the same stuff. Absolutely same stuff. I can test it. This is a nice thing. I can really run it and test it. So it's connecting, retrieving currencies, saving changes. Does the same stuff. Now I trigger it on timer and I'm done. The nice thing about functions is that they don't need an app to live in. You can switch to consumption plan, right? And on consumption plan, you pay for what you use. So, and they scale like infinitely. Well, for any purpose, they are infinitely scalable. So you can hit it every second if you want to. It's going to scale. And the nice thing, you can get from your function to your Dynamics 365 and do what you normally do. So you can reuse your code, you can reuse your libraries. Now, let's just go back. So, and yeah, as far as Sean is concerned, his currency update is now running as a function. So it's all good. I've got it in production, it's been running. I don't even look at it. Okay, so Azure Functions, App Services, and Web Jobs SDK. That's important. They are built on Web Jobs, so they're very, very similar. They serverless on consumption plan, or you can sort of warm up. The one downside of consumption plan, it takes a bit to warm up, right? So if it's been called, first call to a function, sometimes it's like you wish it would be faster. But yeah, you can warm it up. Language of your choice, really easy. If you fancy Node.js, it's so easy to write in Node.js or Python. DevOps integration and so forth. And support for dependencies, it's automatic, so you don't have to compile anything. It just pulls it down. And so it's really, really nice. So my take on it, if you have an app plan already, say you're running some websites or web apps or whatever, you can use Web Jobs. If you don't have one, use functions. The only thing that is lagging behind is tooling. So there is a Visual Studio kind of in preview, the environment to deal with the functions in preview. But there's still IntelliSense is lacking. So there's a lot of things that could be better. But it's evolving. So Azure AD. That's another. The one thing that nags me about that function is that Sean, in fact, called me and said, your currency stopped working. I said, it can't be. I said, yeah. Then we keep talking, like 10 minutes later, it sort of occurs to me, Sean, did you change the admin password? I said, yeah, because I've been prompted by Office 365. Damn. Remember this connection string? So this is what it looks like. Okay. So you've got URL to your organization, black screen. I did push the right button. No. You guys confuse me. It's a 6 on the right, 5 on the left. 6. Now it's not black screen. This is what it looks like, right? So your org, authentication type, Office 365, org name, and, well, password 1 is no longer strong 1. So when you type it in, it says it's no longer strong 1. So I came up with the stronger one. Okay, this is what connection string looks like. Well, it's bugging me from because of two reasons. One, when it expires, it hits all your services that use this account, right? In CRM, in Dynamics 365 Online, there is a notion of non-interactive user that you can use. It's painful to set up, basically user who can log in but can't access via UI, and it's only 5 of those. So it is a bit kind of painful to set up. Instead, let me just walk through the slides and show you before and after. So OAuth, Dynamics 365 supports OAuth. All Dynamics 365 API supports access tokens. So once you get this better token from OAuth, it's good as gold. Your old API, your old new API, it's fine. OAuth is the recommended option. I'm not going into discussion, though. OAuth is actually authorization protocol, not authentication protocol. And if you want authentication, then you go to OpenID. And this is kind of moot point. It works. It's brilliant. This is what a vintage style, right? So you've got connection string, weak password, and you connect by connection string. Okay, what happens if your application does have a user interface? If it's a mobile app or it's a website, it's a passive client, so it runs on the server, but it can interact with the user. Then you do what's kind of semi-vintage style. What you do, you use ADL, Azure Active Directory Authentication Library. Who used ADL before? Okay, a few hands. Basically, it's available for lots of languages, C#, JS, Node.js, Python. It simplifies OAuth like there is no tomorrow. It's like 2 lines of code, you're done, literally. So what this code does, I don't know if we have the pointer, but what this code does, it creates authentication context, grabs the credentials, so still use username and password, right? And then it acquires token. And then it goes on its business, but now it uses token. Now, slightly different style of that would be if you do a redirect. So for this one, the app registration is required. This is important. You have to register. You have to let your Active Directory know that there is an app that will try to access your resource, which is Dynamics 365. And it's fine. But the second part is also important. Consent is required. Because you will be accessing on behalf of someone, like John logs in and you access on behalf of John. So John needs to give a consent to your app to access data on his behalf. Okay? So consent is required. There is a workaround. Admin can say, yeah, everyone, come on in. Everyone gets consent. I'm not asking you guys. Like, this app gets my consent. That's it, as admin, global admin. Okay, so OData world. So you use ADL to get the token. And you use it via redirect URI. So what happens is, this is quite important, the redirect one. If you have a user interface, then you're not going to ask user about password, right? There will be redirect to login.microsoft what's not. User will authenticate themselves to Active Directory and then give you the authentication code that you will convert to a token. Okay? So the advantage is, if you have a user interface, whether it's a website, which is a passive client, or mobile, which is an active client, always go through this authentication. Always go through redirect, so you don't see user password. You don't need to know user password. You're accessing on behalf of the user. But what does it do for us? Well, not much, except come 2 months ago, server-to-server authentication. Yay. So now, basically, you register application, and you can supply credentials as client ID and secret and get your magic token, right? So it allows access to OAuth, but without the UI flow. Why is it good? Let me show you. Yeah, it's coming up. Okay, so now what I want to do is to go to back to my Azure. And now I want to go, what I'm doing now doesn't need Azure subscription. It is available to you. When you provision Dynamics 365, you do get Azure Active Directory. And what I'm doing now doesn't require subscription. So you don't need to have it. App registrations. There's nothing there. This is what I do. I add registration and say in currency updater. It's a web API, sign-on URL. I'm not going to have one, but doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you put in here. It's like identifier. It means nothing for server to server. So it created currency updater. So now what I want is required permissions. So it has already Active Directory permissions. And I want to select an API. And I'm saying Dynamics 365 online. And this is quite important one. So access CRM as organization user. So I will be working on behalf of the user, but that gets better. What I'm doing now, mind you, is not specific to Dynamics 365. You have to do it for your apps as well. When you're writing your apps, you should be doing that. Right? Active Directory, let me check. Sign in and read user profile. That should be enough. Okay, so I've got the user. Okay, probably good idea to get a key as well. And I will need to set it aside. So duration is, say, 1 year. And it's really interesting. When you save it, key description, don't care. It says value will be displayed once. It's not kidding, right? You will never see this again. Unless you have Notepad handy. And the other thing that we will need is we will need the application ID. That's the client ID. So it's kind of username and password for the applications. Kind of. Because now you can easily revoke permissions per application. But where it does get even better is when you get into Dynamics 365. Why it gets better? If it let me access the UI. This is interesting whilst it's loading. On the left-hand side, this is the concept of the apps. So you can configure, you can trim down the entire functionality of your Dynamics CRM and kind of mold customer service, for example, right? Access to only specific bits and pieces, and you call it customer service app, and you assign it to specific users or groups. So it gives you access to that. Okay, what I want to do is, I don't want to go to sales, I want to get to settings, I want to get to security, and I want to get to the users. And there's a new concept of application user. Okay, where, application user. So I can switch the form, application ID, and any minute now. primary email. Ooh, currency updater. That's what your name is. Saving. Okay, it's saved. So now we have, and you can't change that, right? So it's got some URI, AD, object ID, so it's all some goodies. Now say, okay, I need to, read write stuff. So on the habit, I go here, system administrator. Boom. Application user, allow custom role only. You have to craft a special role, which it cannot be one of the built-in ones, and assign it to that user. So for the purpose of my exercise, it would have been, I would have grant permissions only to read and update currencies, nothing else, because it does nothing else, right? The advantage is obvious. I've got application user controlled, application user per application. Now, for those of you who are into DevOps, those client ID and secret, I can push into settings and configure it in such a way that whoever deploys the application doesn't have access to the settings, right? So it immediately secures it. Yeah, of course, rogue developer can write the code that sends SMS with username and password or client ID, right? But this is a different matter. Then one step on top of that, you can use Azure Key Vault and store client ID for very sensitive apps. You would store client ID and secret. You would store in a Key Vault and then make it part of your deployment. So it would deploy from Key Vault. Speaking of which, that's how data export service works, because it needs your creds to push CRM data into SQL Azure, right? And this product is exactly how it works. They publish keys into Vault, and you get access through the Vault. So you never see the keys. You get them through Vault and access. So rather, their code doesn't see your credentials ever. You supply through the Vault. So you give them access to a specialized Vault and say, here you find the keys. They never see the key. They just use them, right? So this is the way to secure your app. Whether it's server to server, whether it's a website running, whether it's a mobile app. Basically, I use the term, and I love this term. For those German speakers, I apologize for pronunciation. It's called Speisroutenlaufen, which is running the gauntlet. It's a corporal punishment, right? It's been practiced for quite some time in like 17th century and up to 19th century and what's not. So I think we should reintroduce it for developers. So to my team, I say, if I ever see password anywhere in your code, you're going to get punished, right? The word password anywhere, because you can't access Dynamics 365 without actually using any passwords. Okay, plugins. So I've got time probably for a quick demo. Plugins, they're bits of code that you publish to Dynamics 365. You implement specific interface, publish, and you listen on different events. You can say, when opportunity gets created, I want to run specific code. So you write this code, you implement this interface, you sign your assembly, you publish it, you upload it, you deploy, but it's deployed in online, it's deployed to Sandbox. Sandbox has limitations. It's partial trust. What it means, you can't call external services except on HTTP, HTTPS, and by legit DNS name only. And there are some other limitations. Not all certificates are trusted. So only certificates that are published in Azure CA directory will be certificate authorities that Azure believes that are good authorities is going to be it's only going to talk HTTPS to those, right? 2 minutes execution limit, right? You don't want to hug the host. So there are other restrictions. You can't do, for example, you can't suss out type information. You can't do reflection. in your code. For example, Newtonsoft JSON, if you try to use JObject, it will fail because it does it through reflection. So what you want to offload whatever happens in that area, plugin, you want to offload it. Why? Secure integration with third parties, reach into on-premises system, and triggering flow or logic apps, right? Or your own function. So Dynamics 365 allows you to two publishing scenarios, Service Bus and Event Hub. I can't think of scenario where you would need Event Hub for data flowing from Dynamics 365 because it's got to be some massive system. But Service Bus gives you relay queues and topics. Use scenarios, yep. You offload the work, you protect from temporary peaks, you distribute your messages, you decouple your functionality. Service Bus Relay. I personally don't like relay because you need to have two parties. If listener is not there, it's just not going anywhere. It's going to retry, but it's going to die if listener is not there. So I'm not going to stop here. There are ways to call relay from Dynamics 365. This is my favorite. The queue is my favorite. So you can do load leveling. You can do work on the other side at your own pace. Doesn't matter how fast the event's coming in. You can take your processing offline. You can do batch processing, right? It's totally up to you what you want on the other side. You can actually have multiple. You can load the level, and you can have multiple listeners. So it's totally up to you how you scale it. So queues are good. This is Service Bus queues. Don't be confused with the storage queues. Those are different ones. This one's better. I prefer this one. And there are topics. The topics are even cooler because they allow you to partition messages, like literally by some data. If value of opportunity is more than $1 million, send it here. Otherwise, send it there. And you have different listeners listening on different topics. Say, I'm the boss. I'm only interested in opportunities $1 million or more. I'm not going to listen to other stuff, right? So topics allow you to do that. So let's quickly do the I'll show you how easy it is to consume the messages. So what I did is, this is plugin registration tool. There are other tools that do that, and you can see plugins from all the third-party solutions and what's not. I registered what's called service endpoint, right? No uploading libraries. I just said, I'm going to talk to this service bus, and I'm going to send to this queue, and here's my key. That's all I did. Fine. This is kind of out of the box. And then I defined a step. I'm saying what I'm going to send there. What I did, I defined on create of opportunity, event handler, blah, blah, blah. That's it. This is the most important part. When opportunity gets created, the message will be sent. Will contain all the data submitted by the user or third-party service. Whoever created the opportunity, that will get the data. And I will push it to a queue. So it takes like 20 seconds to create endpoint. Well, you have to have queue ready. But once the queue is there, it takes 20 seconds to register in Dynamics 365 for messages to start flowing. So what I did, I say, well, I created a small project called Queue Reader that listens to this queue, creates the client, listens to the queue, and then processes the messages. And you can see it processes accounts, processes contacts, and here's the one, opportunity. It extracts the value of the opportunity, estimated value, and it displays the balloon notification, okay? So let's, and it submits a lot of debug information as well. So let's run it. Oh, it's hello world, it's a test one. That's the ones I created for the other tests, but the idea is that, okay, we're sitting here, I'm not sure, and this is the output. let me go back to my Dynamics 365. I'm saying I'm creating an opportunity for a huge one, talk at Ignite. Account, doesn't matter. I'd say at least $1 million, right? 10, even better. Yeah. Come on. Where's my output? I think I killed it by accident. Sorry, it's... oh, it's not running. I killed it. And here it is, unknown value. Why is it unknown? Oh, I put the wrong value. Let's try that again. So it submits debug information. So it extracts the object. So it's, let's try again. I'm saying, give me another one. Another talk at Ignite. This one is more modest with $42 estimated revenue. This one. Come on. Unless I made a coding mistake. Because it does pop up when I started. It's just basically waiting for something. I'm not sure what. Unless it already did pop up. Sometimes it's, nope. It died. It dies with timeout. So when you run first time, this is really annoying. Nope, not coming up. I bet they all sit in the queue. If I go and check the queue, they all sit in the queue. Unless we hog the queue. No, I don't know. You've seen it picking up the past, the ones that I created previously. So it picked them up. I don't know. It may just come up any minute now, but it's waiting. Maybe malformed data, like I'm not expecting particular data, and it just, my code dies. My code is not very good, so I'm not very good. But the idea is that it comes up really like near real time, right? So you can push data to a queue, pick it up in a function. Then it opens up the world of opportunities, logic apps in particular. Yeah, we kind of, I'll talk about in principle. So the logic apps where you can integrate with dynamic CRM, it can do now, it can trigger message received in a queue, message received in a topic. When record gets created, deleted, or updated. The last three, it's a polling operation. So it does use the change tracking. Remember I mentioned change tracking, so it's very smart about querying the data. But now it's in preview. The queue and topics can trigger logic apps. Unlike Flow, so with Flow, that's a different story. They currently don't have queue and topic subscription, but they might get it. I find that Flow is less reliable than logic apps in general because it's built on top of logic apps. So generally speaking, for reliability, you would want to use logic apps. Actions, plenty. Create record, list, delete, get, update. Dynamics 365 operations, otherwise known as AX. So you get plenty of actions as well. So this is the sample, how it compares to the Dynamics CRM built-in workflow, right? The workflow can do stuff internally. Here you get an opportunity. Let's say someone sends you EDI file through a Dropbox. You pick it up, you create a case, you trigger dynamic CRM workflow, does its own thing, you continue, and you submit invoice for processing to your AX or Dynamics 365 operations. Then if it's fine, drop it back to the Dropbox. If not, send SMS that something's wrong, right? So you can definitely orchestrate things with the logic apps. You can write your own extensions. So this one I did, I wanted to show you the race is basically service bus directly via function, sending SMS versus logic apps versus flow. Every time I ran this test, it would be bus comes first, logic apps closely following it, and the flow distant third. Well, distant, we're talking about seconds, right? But sometimes it's important. Cortana Intelligence, this is what's already there, right? So it's huge. And you can extend it even further. You can do machine learning. You can implement machine learning. You can do forecasts. This is already there. So you have relationship insights, which is brilliant, which tells you that you should really talk to George because you've been neglecting him, for example, right? Lead scoring, cross-upselling, organizational insights, sentiment analysis for MSC. So it's all already there. And you can definitely extend it using Azure Machine Learning Service. You can train it on your data, and you can do some predictive analysis. Cognitive services and bot framework, we actually have bots talking to CRM, like Skype for Business bot. So you authenticate to your CRM and start talking, show me my opportunities. And it's like, it shows. Anyway, so 365 portals, another extensibility point. And it lives in Azure, so it's part of Azure. Talk tomorrow morning, I'm going to talk about portals for developers, what you can do with them. And, yep, after dark, drone. Did anyone win pass to that? No? Not yet? Not here? Well, we're always like, in Dynamics 365, we're poor children, so we never win anything. So you can find me crmtipoftheday.com if you're interested in learning about Dynamics 365, doing daily tips. We're up to 824. So we're going to crack the 1,000. So just me and Joel Lindstrom, we said, look, gotta keep going. So, and if you want to hear more of my brilliant self, together with a couple other guys, crm.audio, we talk about Dynamics 365, and also we have a child podcast talking about Power BI and Dynamics 365 in particular. Scott Sewell, which is Dynamics 365 dude specializing in Power BI, talking on that podcast. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions?